Neither individual records, nor Champions League comebacks, nor even scoring more goals could match it. Lionel Messi wasn't just a rival to Cristiano Ronaldo. He was the shadow that followed him throughout his entire career. Every Ballon d'Or, every Golden Boot, every team trophy, and every magical night served as a reminder that no matter how hard Cristiano tried, there was always someone one step ahead. Today, we're going to go match by match through the years, to see how Messi, season after season, crushed Cristiano Ronaldo on every stage, from the unforgettable nights of El Clásico in Spain to their Champions League duels and their head-to-heads that made it clear who the real GOAT of football was. Impossible goals, performances that defined an era, and finals that forever tipped the balance. Get ready, because what you're about to see isn't just a simple comparison, it's the story of how Messi turned his rivalry with Cristiano into a verdict. The battle many dreamed of, but one that, in reality, never truly existed. Let's begin. Champions League, 2008. Manchester United vs Barcelona. In 2008, Cristiano Ronaldo was on top of the world. He had conquered the Premier League with authority, was the absolute star of Manchester United, and eliminated Barcelona in the Champions League semi-finals. In Moscow, he lifted the trophy, and months later, the Ballon d'Or confirmed what many believed was inevitable. A new king of football had been born. Cristiano was power, speed, charisma, and goals. He had the physique of an Olympic athlete, the discipline of a soldier, and the hunger of a predator. Everything pointed to the world of football belonging to him. But what Cristiano didn't know was that at that very moment, in Barcelona, a tiny flea was preparing to begin his reign. A young Lionel Messi, only 21 years old, had already shown flashes of genius. Impossible dribbles, epic goals, magical assists, and the sense that the ball seemed to obey only him. He wasn't yet considered the best, but those who saw him up close knew they were witnessing the rise of something extraordinary. That contrast was the starting point, the man who seemed unstoppable against the kid who still had something to prove. And from then on, every match, every goal, and every title became chapters of a battle that would divide the entire world. Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi? Rome 2009, the birth of the king. Cristiano Ronaldo arrived at the Champions League final in Rome already wearing the crown. He was the reigning European champion with Manchester United, the current Ballon d'Or holder, and the most feared player in the world. He had eliminated Barcelona in 2008 and was convinced that this was his era. Across from him stood Lionel Messi, a young man of just 21, seen by many merely as Xavi and Iniesta's teammate and a brilliant talent. Yes, but still under Cristiano's shadow in the global narrative. The final began with an unexpected blow. Eto'o opened the scoring in the 10th minute, throwing United off balance. Cristiano desperately searched for his moment, shooting from distance, trying to take control, but Rome would not be his night. Because destiny had written a different story. In the 70th minute, Xavi sent in a perfect cross, and the impossible happened. Messi, standing just 5'7", rose inside the box and headed in the 2-0. The little Argentine beat the best player in the world in the air. Cristiano couldn't believe it. The flea had just beaten him in the very aspect where no one thought he could win: physicality, aerial dominance. That goal wasn't just a score, it was a symbol. The beginning of Messi's reign. Barca lifted the Champions League trophy, and months later, Messi claimed his first Ballon d'Or. The Portuguese star had lost his throne. From that night on, Cristiano would have to live glancing over his shoulder at the eternal shadow of Lionel Messi. 2009-2010, the first Clásico against Cristiano in Spain. The 2009-2010 season had a brand new explosive ingredient. Cristiano Ronaldo signed for Real Madrid in a record-breaking Euro 94 million transfer. La Liga was no longer just Barça versus Madrid, now it was Messi versus Cristiano. The Portuguese star made his Clásico debut, convinced that his arrival would change history. But on his first visit to the Bernabéu, he came face to face with a painful truth. Messi already owned the stage. In a play that seemed out of this world, Lionel controlled the ball with his chest inside the box and, with ice-cold composure, slotted it across goal to silence the entire stadium. Goal for Barça. Goal by Messi. Cristiano looked on in anger, powerless. It was his first Clásico, and he was already living what would become a recurring nightmare, the FLEA outshining him in the biggest game of all. Barcelona finished that season as league champions, and Messi repeated as Ballon d'Or winner. Cristiano, on the other hand, was beginning to realize that sharing the stage with Lionel didn't mean stardom, it meant living in his shadow. And now I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you think Messi was always better than Cristiano Ronaldo? If you think yes, leave us a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. 2010, 2011. Cristiano Ronaldo's false illusion. The 2010-2011 season was one of the most intense in football history. Pep Guardiola versus Jose Mourinho, Messi versus Cristiano. The entire world was watching every Clásico. The first big duel was played at the Camp Nou, and what happened that night would be remembered forever. A humiliating 5-0. Messi didn't score, but he was the conductor of the orchestra, directing every attack, breaking every line, and completely erasing Cristiano from the game. The Portuguese star couldn't find space, growing so frustrated that he even shoved Guardiola on the sidelines. That day, Barça proved they were light years ahead of Madrid. The entire stadium chanted Messi's name. Cristiano, furious, looked on as the crowd worshipped his rival, knowing deep down that a decade of shadows awaited him. Because that night, he didn't just lose a match, he realized that while he was chasing the spotlight, Messi was already a legend. And the worst part for Cristiano wasn't the scoreline, it was realizing that football had an owner, and it wasn't him. But Cristiano got his revenge in April. In the Copa del Rey final at Mestalla, he scored the winning goal in extra time with a header. It was his first major title with Real Madrid. That triumph lifted him, made him believe he was number one, as if he had finally defeated Messi. But the illusion didn't last long. Because while Cristiano celebrated as though he had claimed the throne, Messi was already preparing his revenge. In the Champions League semi-finals, fate brought them face-to-face once again. At the Bernabéu, Messi delivered one of the most legendary performances of his career. An unforgettable brace. The first, pouncing on a loose ball in the box with killer instinct. The second, one of the greatest goals in the history of the tournament, dribbling past defenders left sprawled on the turf before calmly finishing past Casillas. Barcelona advanced to the final, won the Champions League, took the league title, and Messi lifted his third consecutive Ballon d'Or. Cristiano celebrated a cup. Messi took everything else. CR7's illusion lasted only a few months. Messi's nightmare for him was just beginning. 2011-2012. Cristiano gets his hopes up. Messi destroys him. After the season of the 5-0 and the Champions League triumph, Cristiano was out for revenge. And the first battlefield was the Spanish Super Cup. In the first leg, Messi scored at the Bernabéu. And in the return match, he delivered an unforgettable brace. His first goal was a masterpiece. He dribbled past the entire defense and left Cristiano on his knees, powerless, at his feet. The second, a rocket that sealed the match and the title. Messi scored at the Camp Nou and launched his iconic phrase, "Calma, yo estoy aquí." Calm down, I'm here. A defiant celebration, an attempt to say, it's not all about Messi. However, Lionel's response was devastating. That same year, Messi produced the most monstrous season in football history, 91 goals in a single year. Not Cristiano, not Maradona, not Pelé. No one had ever reached such numbers. It was a display of talent, consistency, and competitive hunger that left the world speechless. And as expected, Messi lifted his fourth consecutive Ballon d'Or, cementing a dominance that seemed impossible to match. 2012, 2013. Cristiano resists and redeems himself. In 2013, the rivalry between Messi and Cristiano reached cinematic levels. The Spanish Super Cup once again became the stage for a new chapter. Messi, as always, showed up in the big moments, 2 goals against his eternal rival, proving his magic was still intact. But this time, Cristiano didn't stay behind. He responded with character, with a goal, and with a defiant attitude. Real Madrid, more solid this time, managed to win the title thanks to the away goals rule. It was a clear message: the Portuguese wasn't beaten. Even though Messi dominated the Ballon d'Ors and the stats, Cristiano was starting to build his narrative of resistance. That duel wasn't just football, it was tension, pride, and ego. And although the trophy ended up in the capital, the soul of the spectacle was still Messi. That year's league Clásico was a gem. A 2-2 draw at the Camp Nou, with both players scoring twice. It was the only moment when they seemed equals, the only match where it looked like they shared the throne. That year, Cristiano finally won his second Ballon d'Or, a well-deserved achievement. But it was already too late. Messi had built an untouchable legend. 4 consecutive Ballon d'Ors, 91 goals in a single year, and a dominance so overwhelming that any victory from Cristiano seemed like nothing more than an illusion in the face of the monster that was Messi. 2013-2014 season. Messi's hat trick and Cristiano's resurrection. On March 23, 2014, the Bernabéu witnessed another chapter in the eternal rivalry. A historic Clásico, a clash of titans. Cristiano appeared with a penalty goal, yes, but that night, the absolute owner of the stage was Lionel Messi. The FLEA destroyed Madrid's defense with an unforgettable hat-trick in the Camp Nou during the March 2014 Clásico. Messi scored in every possible way. First, a surgical left foot strike inside the box. Then, a penalty executed with the coldness of a silent assassin. And finally, another penalty, this time under even more pressure, that sealed the definitive 4-3. Each goal was a dagger to Madrid's pride. And to top it off, he kissed the Barça crest right in front of the rival stands, an image burned into the memory of millions. The stadium went silent. Messi hadn't just won the match. He had carved another scar into Real Madrid's history. But football is unpredictable. That same year, Real Madrid won the 2014 Copa del Rey, defeating Barcelona in the final at Mestalla with a legendary goal from Gareth Bale, who left Barça behind in a blistering run. And, as if it were a parallel script, Cristiano Ronaldo lifted his long-awaited 10th Champions League trophy, defeating Atletico de Madrid in Lisbon. Although he didn't play in the Copa final due to injury, his presence was key along the way. That double of titles, combined with his individual performances, earned him his 3rd Ballon d'Or, closing the gap with Messi and redeeming himself as a worthy competitor. It was the moment many believed the balance was finally even. But while Cristiano celebrated, Messi was already preparing for the most epic 2015 of his career. 2015, the year Messi buried him with a treble. The year began with a tough blow for Barça. In the first league, Clásico, played at the Bernabéu, Cristiano led Real Madrid to a 3-1 victory. Messi, absent from the score sheet and quiet throughout the game, didn't show up. The Madrid press went wild, talking about a new era of dominance, claiming Cristiano would once again win the Ballon d'Or and that this time he would humiliate Messi beyond debate. But football, as always, had other plans. In 2015 came the most brutal response. Messi led one of the greatest teams in history, a treble of La Liga, Copa del Rey, and Champions League. That year, Messi returned to the very top of world football. He lifted his 5th Ballon d'Or and once again left Cristiano in the shadows. 2014 had been the year of the Portuguese resurrection, but 2015 was the ultimate humiliation. Because while Cristiano was piling up collective trophies and impressive stats, Messi was creating magic, and magic will always outweigh numbers. 2015-2016 season. Barca's dance at the Bernabéu, but a glorious year for Cristiano. On November 21, 2015, the Santiago Bernabéu was expecting Cristiano's night, but instead, it lived through a nightmare. Barcelona, with Neymar, Suarez, and Iniesta all inspired, completely erased Madrid from the field. Messi, just recovered from an injury, came off the bench. He wasn't at 100%, but his mere presence was enough to orchestrate the show. The final score was a humiliating 0-4. Cristiano walked helplessly, watching as his own home bowed to the football of their eternal rival. The Bernabéu wasn't applauding its idol, it was applauding Messi's Barça. But football always keeps a rematch in store. In the return leg at Camp Nou, Real Madrid struck back with pride. In the 85th minute, with the score tied, Cristiano appeared. Chest control, an ice-cold finish between Claudio Bravo's and Piqué's legs, and a defiant celebration. Arms wide open, eyes to the sky, shouting his iconic phrase, "Calma, I'm here." The Clásico ended 1-2, and Cristiano had finally found his night on enemy ground. That year, the Portuguese star won it all. The Champions League, the Euro with Portugal, and the Ballon d'Or. It was his great resurrection, the moment he believed he had finally matched Messi. However, in their head-to-head battles, the story remained clear. Messi humiliated with football. Cristiano survived with pride, and that difference said it all. 2017. The eternal climax. April 23, 2017. The Santiago Bernabéu was on fire. Real Madrid arrived as league leaders, with Cristiano in top form, and Barcelona forced to win to keep their title hopes alive. The atmosphere was boiling. The match began with heavy hits and wild tackles. Casemiro, Ramos, Marcelo, everyone tried to stop him with kicks. But Messi, bleeding from the mouth after an elbow, refused to give up. On the contrary, each hit only made him stronger. Madrid struck first, but Messi took the ball, tore through the white defense, and scored the 1-1 with lethal composure. In the second half, Rakitic put Barça ahead with a rocket, James Rodriguez equalized for Madrid, and the Bernabéu roared like never before. It seemed the game would end in a draw. Until the 93rd minute arrived, Sergi Roberto ran half the pitch, passed to Jordi Alba, crossed back, and there he was. Messi, calm, untouchable, placed his left foot perfectly to the far post past Keylor Navas and sealed the final 2-3. The Bernabéu froze. And then came the eternal image. Messi lifted his jersey toward the rival stands, showing the Barcelona crest like a king who had conquered enemy territory. An immortal picture. A gesture that traveled around the world. Cristiano couldn't stand it, furious, filled with pure rage. He looked on helplessly as his eternal rival eclipsed him once again. Zidane, the bench, and all of Madrid's fans were marked forever by that photo. But football gave the Portuguese his voice again. That same year, Cristiano led Real Madrid to conquer the Champions League against Juventus, shone as the absolute star in Cardiff, won La Liga, and claimed his 5th Ballon d'Or, tying Messi with 5 each. Cristiano celebrated as if the debate were over. Many said he was the greatest of all time. But that photo at the Bernabéu, the goal in the 93rd minute, reminded everyone that even in Cristiano's days of glory, Messi always found a way to crush him. 2017, 2018. The last Clásicos. Summer of 2017. Spanish Super Cup. Camp Nou was expecting another Messi show, but that night it was Cristiano who raised his voice. In the second half, he received the ball at the edge of the box, cut inside, and unleashed an unstoppable right-footed strike into the top corner. A stunning goal. And he didn't stop there. He ran toward the stands, took off his jersey, and lifted it high, copying Messi's immortal pose at the Bernabéu. A direct challenge, a clear message. The White House demands respect. Madrid lifted the Super Cup, and Cristiano finally felt avenged. But December brought the real blow. Right before Christmas, the Bernabéu hosted a historic Clásico. Messi took over the capital. First, he converted a penalty with his usual cold-blooded precision to make it 0-2. Then, he delivered a magical assist barefoot, missing one boot for Alex Vidal, sealing the 0-3 final score. And his celebration said it all. Arms wide open, a defiant stare, challenging the entire white stadium. That was the image that defined that year, Messi dominating on enemy ground once again. May 2018, Camp Nou. The last Clásico between Messi and Cristiano in Spain. Barça were already league champions. Madrid wanted to spoil the celebration. It was a direct duel between two giants. Cristiano scored to show he was still there and tied the game. But Messi answered with a stunning goal to take the lead, 2-1, leaving Ramos and Casemiro behind, and finishing a cross goal with his magical left foot past Keylor Navas. It was an epic battle, a final face-to-face between two legends who had defined an era. The match ended in a draw, the last roar of a rivalry that marked football forever. There was no trophy at stake, but there was pride, legacy, and memory. That 2-2 didn't decide a champion, but it closed a golden chapter, that of two titans who, for a decade, faced each other on the biggest stages with the world as their witness. That summer, Cristiano left for Juventus after winning his 5th Champions League, but he didn't lift the Ballon d'Or. Messi, on the other hand, stayed in Spain with another La Liga title in hand and the unforgettable memory of having dominated the Clásicos. Thus ended a decade of head-to-head battles. And though Cristiano had his nights of glory, history always made one thing clear: Messi was the true owner of El Clásico. From 2008 to 2018, Messi crushed the Portuguese star again and again on the biggest stage in Spanish football. 2020 season, the reunion. December 2020, the football world was waiting for another chapter in the eternal rivalry. Cristiano Ronaldo returned to Camp Nou, this time wearing the Juventus jersey, to face Messi again in the Champions League. The stage promised a thrilling duel, but the script turned out differently. Cristiano, fueled by all his built-up motivation, scored twice from the penalty spot and celebrated fiercely in Messi's own house. Juventus took the victory, and Madrid fans celebrated as if it were a historic revenge. Messi, on the other hand, could barely react. He played, he tried, but there was no magic. That night, he simply watched as his eternal rival celebrated on the field that had been his for more than a decade. But the truth is, that battle was hollow. The war had already been decided. Because even if Cristiano had won that match, the full story left no room for doubt. In the Clásicos, in the Ballon d'Ors, in the biggest nights, Messi had always been superior. That 2020 match was their last official meeting in Europe. The eternal duel had reached its twilight, and although Cristiano smiled at Camp Nou, the legacy was already written. The throne was never his. 2022. Messi fulfills the dream and closes the debate. Cristiano Ronaldo was fading at the top level. His exit from Manchester United, his last attempts to stay in European football were all signs of an inevitable decline. Nobody wanted him, no club signed him, so he ended up going to the very league he once discredited, the Saudi League. Messi, on the other hand, was writing the most glorious page of his career. In Qatar 2022, he conquered the one title missing from his collection, the World Cup. With goals, assists, and absolute leadership, he lifted the golden trophy in Lusail and cemented himself as the greatest of all time. Meanwhile, Cristiano said goodbye to that same World Cup in tears. He couldn't fulfill his dream, he simply wasn't on the same level as the best in the world. January 2023 gave us an unexpected epilogue, a friendly in Saudi Arabia between Messi's PSG and a combined Al Nassr and Al Hilal side led by Cristiano. It was a nostalgic spectacle. Messi opened the scoring with his usual magic. Cristiano fought back and scored twice. But in the end, PSG won, and the feeling was clear. No matter how much Cristiano shined, he could no longer dethrone Messi's World Cup legacy. That same year, Lionel Messi lifted his 8th Ballon d'Or, an impossible record. The entire world bowed before him. Cristiano, meanwhile, continued his path far from the elite, still a giant, but in decline. Cristiano will always be great, but Messi will be eternal. La Pulga crushed El Bicho again and again. Cristiano had his moments, yes, Champions League titles, goals, nights of glory. But in the head-to-head battles, in the Clásicos, in the Ballon d'Ors, and in the world's memory, Messi was always greater. And when he lifted the World Cup, the debate died forever. There was no competition. There never was. If you made it this far, you already know the truth. Messi was, is, and will always be the greatest of all time. Give this video a like, subscribe to Barca Cracks, and turn on the notification bell. And tell me in the comments, do you really think the Messi versus Cristiano debate exists? I believe it never did.